Yes, guys, and welcome from me. This is Championship Manager 0102, King of the Dugout, Part 7. Now, I just flipped back to Part 6, and I missed out a month, to be honest with you, in terms of video updates. So, since the last update, you're going to see 2 months having advanced on Season 1 of this interactive game, which of course includes 14 players from Facebook, the Amphitheatre CM group, run by myself and Mark Whitaker. And boy, we're coming now then to the real nitty-gritty time of the season, and you're going to see exactly how nitty-gritty it's getting. I'm not sure who it's going to fire up with. So we started up with Soylent Green. Now Soylent Green, they've had a dodgy couple of months, to be honest. Since the last update, they've had a real dodgy couple of months. They're out. They're not out the League Cup, but they are on the brink. They've got a bit of work to do in the League Cup. They're the only team left in the League Cup from the human 14 players. They are through in the FA Cup, as you can see, but they had a bit of a tough month in respect of the last couple of months. They've slipped up a little bit, and you can see that by where they are in the table, because they've been they were the early pace setters. I think they were the last unbeaten team. But Almo, who is the gaffer, Eve Sham from the forums, is riding high still, and I don't want to click on the table yet because I don't want to do any spoilers. Over to the next one. AC Runmansion, run by Jesper Ronman, looking good. He's looking very good, isn't he? Second in Division 1. Let's take a look now then. He's out the FA Cup. He'll be really gutted to have got knocked out to AI. Now, I put an emphasis that when you play AI, they're the games you need to be winning. Well, I got that wrong, because what I didn't take into account is that when you start a new save, all AIs will start with no players, but there's also several players in the database. Now, you look at Arsenal, that's who they've purchased, all on free transfers. And all the teams, the top flight, are buying big players. And look at that. Edgar Davids, Ryan Giggs, Dennis Bergkamp, how ironic. Lizarazu, they've got some absolutes, and this really goes all across the whole Premier Division. I think Leicester have got Beckham, Man United have brought Roy Keane, believe it or not. So players that are not in the King of the Dugout, or were not in the auctions, they're available. Chivu's another one. So probably underestimated AI, but Runmansion, he'll be pissed off, but, at the end of the day, I think it's all about the league. So he's sitting pretty at the minute, second in the league, and it was a very, very good January month for him, where he won all 3 games, and 2 of them were against rival opposition in Dunthorpe and Trump Towers. More about them in a moment. Over to D-Generation X, Stuart Danson, the gaffer. 4th in the First Division. He's through in the FA Cup. He only scraped through the 3rd round, but you can see Danton has got a big month ahead of him, as well as that 5th round. Look at his league games. He's got the big guns. I want to say big guns. Every month is going to be a dodgy month for everybody, because there's always going to be rival managers in your fixture list. I think it's always going to be the case. So Stuart Danton is riding high still. Over to Dunthorpe. Dunthorpe Ironworks, that is Ross Horn, 10th in the division. He's not having the greatest season in the world, is he? There is still time. I mean, we've still got sort of like the last 2 months now. Is it? 3 months, shall I say, sorry. 3 months. This is make or break. And I made this comment yesterday. This is make or break now, time of the season, for those players that are sort of roughly mid-table. Ross Horn being one of them. The defeat at Runmansion was a hard pill to swallow for him, I think it's fair to say. But he's still in the FA Cup. And he didn't actually have a bad month, in all fairness. He had a game in hand against Sunday Strikers that he got a draw. So I think to give him a little bit more credit than what we're give him more credit than what's being shown, maybe. Over to the next one, the Dutch Warriors, Mark Rutgers, hanging into the playoffs. He's also through to the FA Cup 5th round. At defeat against Crystal Palace, he'll be really pissed off. He scraped through the FA Cup 3rd round at the expense of a rival, Sam's Bastards, and he had to do that on the second time of asking. Now let's just have a look at that Crystal Palace defeat. Yeah, he'll be a little bit gutted at that. But what I also wanted to check is, going back to AI, see, look, they've purchased well as well. I mean, they've got some fairly decent players, and you've got to remember they're second tier, so they're probably not going to get your top flight Roy Keanes and stuff. But they've still picked up some decent players, no doubt about it. Some decent players. Then don't know how they managed to land that cunt. Fuck me. And I think I remember reading Crystal Palace had taken points off another human manager earlier in the season. Over to the next one after Dutch Warriors. Glasgow United, William McGregor. Wasn't the greatest, I don't feel. It hasn't been the greatest time for him. He's out the FA Cup. He was out to Derby County. Let's have a look what happened in the FA Cup. Yeah, it deserved a replay maybe. Derby County haven't got a big squad, as you can see. They've got the shaded out players, a couple of good players, but he'll be really fucked off with that. He's down in 9th in the table. But as I said about Ross Horn, this is huge for William. This is where he's got to have, it's make or break for him. It really is. My parcel is on its way. Okay. Just reading about my parcel's on its way. Took your fucking time, didn't you, you cunts? Okay. Let's go to the next one then. I forgot we could do it like this, to be honest with you. Glasgow, we're up to North London is red. Gary Hanks has had a fucking awful run of late. And I think when you have a bad league run, just being knocked out the FA Cup at the same time is just shit, isn't it? To be fair, he had a difficult game in the FA Cup third round. He was taken on Soylent Green, and he got thrashed. He had an unbeaten month in January, but he also had a winless month. He had 3 draws. His December month was pretty shit as well. So big month ahead for Gary Hanks, who incidentally, yesterday I finally managed to put the install on so he can have a little bit more of a better perspective look. Some people have got the install, some people have struggled, some people choose for me to just send them screenshots. It's each to their own, but Gary I think can now sort of maybe analyse it just a little bit more in depth. That's North London is red. Okay, over to Pageant Rangers. Trevor Choi, or Trevor, out the FA Cup in a big clash in the third round. Yeah, again 13th. He's not had the greatest, has he? He really hasn't had the greatest. Over to Pathetico Madrid. Our very own Noel Draper, aka Trunky from the forums, is the league leader, and it's ironic really, because I'm going to refer him as Trunky, but it's Noel Draper from Facebook, and it's ironic because I based this King of the Dugout based on the DTL from the forums, which I partake in, which is virtually the same. Trunky's also part of that, and he fucking kills it. He's the absolute dog's bollocks on it, and I give him a lot of credit where it's due. He's riding high. He's in the FA Cup 5th round. His 5th round draw, the 5th round draw has already been made. The reason you didn't see that for a couple is because they're playing against a team or another team. That's why you might not have seen the 5th round, but we'll look at the 5th round draw afterwards. So a good solid month for him, and I feel with Trunky, and I feel everyone's suffered this to a degree, but no more than Trunky. He had a crisis the last couple of months where he had injuries, suspensions. Van Bommel was serving a 5-game ban throughout the whole of December, so he probably missed he probably missed the whole of December. In fact, it would have been, because he missed the majority of it. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the majority of December. So he's done really, really well. Credit where it's due there. Give that man a pat on the back. Over to Sam's Bastards. Well, Sam, what can I say? You had a good month in December. I think you actually had a couple of wins, didn't you? Or you picked up some points, but then you went back to basics. Despite your draw with the Dutch Warriors in the FA Cup, you lost a replay and you lost 3 league games. It's looking grim for Sam's Bastards, who, as you can see in the table, are 23rd. Well, more about that in a moment. Over to Sharps Shooters. Lee Sharples. Lee Sharples is hanging into the playoffs, and he's through in the FA Cup. A steady couple of months. It's been steady for you, Lee. Last month was probably a little bit shit. What did you? Let's just say a defeat. Yeah, 2 defeats and a win. But I feel everyone's got to make that top 6 a benchmark. But I feel as a manager, stability-wise, you're looking at really top 8 at least. But, well, who knows. Soylent Green. We've already been to Soylent Green, haven't we? So apologies there. We've spoke about Al Mo. Over to the Sunday Strikers, which is Philippe Derala. It's funny, really, because I said this before in the other videos. When he had that really remarkable auction, it just proves, don't it, that one successful auction of Worldies does not buy you success. I mean, he went out he was shocked in the FA Cup against Hartlepool, absolutely disgustingly shocked. And I mean, you look, we go back to AI. They are bottom tier, and they've brought in Jody Craddock, who I feel is a very, very good player at top level in CM. They've brought in some decent players. Ian Stonebridge, I think, is a good player at low level. In all fairness, Peter Atherton, I think, is a good signing. So a couple of good players, to be honest with you. Who's that, Gene? Who the fucking hell's that? Okay, so Hartlepool caused an upset, more so for Philippe Durala and his Sunday Strikers, 11th in the table. And finally, we go to Trump Towers. Miguel Dante, aka from Facebook, Mike Evangelou, 8th in the table, through in the FA Cup. You can see he's going to be meeting Stockport, and it was a bit of a shit month for him. 2 defeats. It was a very small amount of games for virtually everybody. It was like 3 games, because in the January month, everyone had the 3rd round of the FA Cup and the 4th round, a 3rd round replay if need be. That's probably why there weren't as many league scheduled games. But let's have a look at a general summary of the table. There you see Perfectica Madrid 67, Run Mansion 65, Soylent Green 63, Degeneration X 63, Dutch Warriors 60, Sharpshooters 57, just outside the playoffs, Dark Destroyers 57, Trump Towers 53, Glasgow United 51. That's where your gap is, really. But that's what I mean by these next few months are key for these players over in mid-table. Dunthorpe 44, Sunday Strikers 42, North London is Red 40, Pageant Rangers 39. And he ain't going to appreciate me saying this, but I've got to. Sorry, Sam. Sam's Bastards are languishing in 23rd with just 16 points, 8 points in the relegation zone. Well, I was looking at something yesterday. I was just looking at the prize money page, and I thought to myself, shit, I'm going to have to do a prize money, or say Mark Whittaker will do it, a prize money page for the Premier League next season. You know, how much you get for winning it, blah, 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 blah. Like we've got we've got prize money for winning the league here. We've got prize money for runners-up, prize money for winning the playoffs, and prize money for finishing, losing the final of the playoffs and the semi-finals. We're going to have to make a prize money for Premier League, and it looks like we're going to have to make a prize money for Division 2 next season. Also, for those of you that don't know, anybody, in terms of what will North London is Red, if he finishes 12th, what will he get? Well, he won't get nothing in terms of prize money, but if he's still in the first division, he will get £5 million TV money, as will anybody else, human player, that begins next season in this division. So hypothetically, let's say Dutch Warriors lose the playoffs, he'll get a nice bit of money for finishing runners up in the playoffs, and then he'll get an additional £5 million for next season. We're going to have to make a new amount for Division 2, because it's more money in the Premier League. I think we wrote £7.5 million. Now, with all this thing about prize money, right, it is very, very important that I tell you that should anybody get sacked, they will serve a £1 million deduction next season. So Gary Hanks is very insecure. Trevor Choi, very insecure. William McGregor, which is a little bit harsh on William McGregor, I feel, because he's battling in the top half of the table. But as is Mark Rutgers. I mean, he was very insecure. Sam Wheatley was very insecure. Why has Sam Wheatley not been sacked is beyond me. But we did agree that anybody that gets sacked would be re-added, but they will be named, shamed, and serve a financial punishment. There is one thing I have done, and I've got to be honest with you here, right? Because if I'm honest with you, I don't want to see people sacked. I really don't. It's a bit deflating, I feel. I think it's deflating enough for fucking Sam's Bastards to be being humiliated every fucking month. But what I did do, and I should have done this at the start of the season, but I did it mid-season, and I'll do it for the start of the next season, is each manager, so Sam's Bastards, their favourite staff member is Sam Wheatley. Dutch Warriors' favourite staff member is Mark Rutgers, and so on and so on and so on. And what I plan to do next season, if I can, because I've not tested this yet, is alter the chairman of a... if I can. Let's just see if I can. No, I can't, actually. It's only on the update, isn't it? Of course it is. So, fuck that shit. But I might still be able to do it. So, so the chairman's not going to rashly sack anybody. I don't want to see sackings. So I think if anyone gets sacked, everyone's off the same hymn sheet here. every team has started with 10,000 reputation, so everyone's expectations are the same. Because I feel that maybe if I change the reputation like to 5,000, then, for example, North London is red. Inzaghi's going to want to move to a bigger club. There's no doubt about that. He's going to want to move to a bigger club. So it swings and roundabouts. And then players could potentially go AWOL. You know, that's the bottom line. And I can't do anything about that. If you lose a player for AWOL, well, that's what happens when you buy players like Anelka. Actually, Anelka isn't around on this particular season 1. So let's go back to the awards now then. We're not giving anything for Team of the Week, but there will be one for English players, First Division, Player of the Year in the team. That will apply as and when it comes out. Manager of the Year, there ain't going to be anything for Manager of the Year, I don't think. I need to discuss with Mark if we're going to give anything for Young Player of the Year or Player of the Year. I need to... Actually, there ain't a Player of the Year, is there? What am I talking about? Manager of the Year, I need to discuss with Mark. But Young Player of the Month, now, this took a while to kick in. But Trevor Choi, his page at Rangers, Maido, has now picked up for a second time. Joe Cole at Glasgow United, of course, top of my head, I think it's something like 750 grand. So £1.5 million for Trevor Choi there, and 750 for Glasgow United. The Player of the Month, well... Jesper Ronman at AC Run Mansion, well, he's picked up a second one there, Dion Dublin. There's a blast from the past. So he's picked up, I think we're at £1 million, I think. I might be wrong, actually. It might be 750 for a Player of the Month, 500 for Young, or something like that. Because also we've got Manager of the Month, which, of course, is Jesper Ronman again. So I think that might be $1 million. And if it is, he's on 2 million, as is Stuart Danton. So... yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how we go. Let's have a look now then at the FA Cup. Let's go to the League Cup first. So, don't worry, Man United are the AI team. That is the Football Association. And they've, as I said, Man United have purchased Roy Keane, Paul Scholes. It's bizarre, look at that. But when we start season 2, remember, we're going to start a new save. So Roy Keane might be on the next set of auctions. So, they're not going to have to buy him again. Leicester City, I pointed out Leicester City. Yeah, they brought Beckham. Oh, Batistuta. So, to be fair, they've got a strong team. Leeds United, Michael Owen, Sadov. It's ironic, really, because look, they've brought Gary Kelly, Ian Hart, Nigel Martin. It's probably because they've got Leeds as a favourite club or something like that. It will because of that. Alan Smith as well. So Soylent Green, I would love to see Yves Sham or Almo, whatever. I'd love him to overturn it. I really would. And you never know. You never know. It would be good because he's got to get to the final to get some additional money for next season. He could make a lot of money if he does well in the League Cups, FA Cup. You just don't know. Talking of the Cup, I think we need to remember that if Sam Wheatley is relegated to second division, we didn't allow for this. If the truth be told, we did not allow for this. He will be next season in the Vans Trophy. And I think we will need to reward him accordingly should he get to the final. So we will see. The FA Cup draw then. Hartlepool against Dark Destroyers. Matt, do not take them lightly. We've already looked at Hartlepool. Lee Sharple's Sharpshooters will take on either Leyton Orient from the 3rd Division or Sunderland. Arsenal versus Pathetico Madrid. Let's have a look at Arsenal. We looked at Arsenal. That ain't the easiest game in the world. Dunthorpe or Carlisle, who have got to have their replay, will take on Crystal Palace. D-Generation X will take on Aston Villa. Stockport against Trump Towers. Dutch Warriors will take on Leeds or Liverpool. And Ipswich will take on Soylent Green. Now, do you know what's really fucking bizarre, right, about this? Is that providing Dunthorpe get through their replay, we have got 8 managers left, and we're in the last 16. They've all got 8 separate ties. So technically speaking, if Ross Horton can get through that replay against Carlisle, which he should, right? So providing he gets through his replay, if all the managers win their 5th round tie, the whole quarter-final will consist of 8 managers. I can't see it happening. I feel Pathetico have got a difficult-looking game, if the truth be told. I feel Dutch Warriors will have a difficult game, whoever they get. They would rather have Liverpool. Let's have a look at Liverpool's team. No, they wouldn't. Fucking hell. No, they would not rather have Liverpool. Henry, Ronaldinho, Zenden, Emerson, Salas, Desai, Ferdinand, Lucio, shitting bollocks. So I think, yeah, Dutch Warriors will probably hope for Leeds maybe. But then Leeds are top of the table, aren't they? So, I don't know, he's got a difficult looking tie. I think Villa won't be easy. Who knows? Who knows? So let's take a quick gander now then at the player stats. Because I remember, there is also money for the leading goal scorer and the leading assists. Now, of course, you may say, well, that's unfair on defence. But that's the way it goes. Everyone's got strikers, everyone's got wingers. So, but let's have a quick look at it. I'm going to speak with Mark about should we have a prize money for the highest average rating. The only thing is, right, if I'm really honest with you, and this is probably why Mark didn't put one down initially, was because it's always likely to be a striker. Let's be honest. It's always likely to be a striker or a winger. And in terms of, you know, they've got goals. I mean, Boksic is on 19. So let's have a look at goals. It's Inzaghi. This is league goals only. Inzaghi 19, Boksic 17, Comandini 16, which is surprising, to be honest with you. So it's really, really close there. Clive at 15, which is really good. Jardel 15. It's going to be very, very tight. The assists, Lurling of Degeneration 14. Oh no, 11 of Patient Rangers. Fuck Zabi. There was one player I was looking at, and it was Pinheiro actually. He seems to have gone down a little bit, but he's only on 9 for league. As I said, there is a bonus for this. There is a bonus for this. It's very, very important about players building for the new season. Now, let me remind you that when we come to the end of the season, I know I've said this before, but I like to remind you guys, at the end of the season, we will have a week, a few days, or a window of time for you guys, each of the 14 managers, to do a little bit of dealing between themselves. Sam's Bastards may feel that he doesn't need Dennis Irwin because he's shit, and he may offload him, hypothetically, to Trevor in exchange for Mido, hypothetically, or he might just sell him outright. Providing those guys both confirm a certain deal, I will then change it on the editor and move players accordingly, adjust bank balances accordingly, and so on and so on. After that window of a little bit of haggling, sorry, I should have said something, sorry. Before that, we're going to have what's called CPU bids, where Mark's going to work with me on this. Every player, every manager will have, I think we said, around up to 5 players, and it will be used via a random generator. 5 players will get given a CPU bid. So let's say it's at random, let's say it's Walter Samuel, and it will be something like, still subject to change, something like his value in the game, so there you see, his value in the game, plus a bonus for X amount of goals, assists, and man of the match awards. So maybe something like $1 million a goal, $500,000 per assist, and $500,000 per man of the match. And whatever the total value is, that will be the offer from Walter Samuel. It will be a random team in the Premier League, and Perfetico will have the option to accept or reject. Simple as that. And that will be for 5 players, but it will be random. So let's pretend it's Gullimir. Gullimir, you know, he's got 6 goals, 3 assists, and it's got a value of £6 million. Could be, but it will be a random. So it could be someone. It could be somebody like Rubinho, and he hasn't been involved at all. I don't think we said anything about clean sheets. I think it will just be. I'll see what Mark suggests. I feel maybe we need to just relook at that. But if that's the case, Rubinho, I think he got on a free transfer anyway, or he paid pittance for him. But it would just be £1.4 million. What was that? I feel it's time to move on. That's because he's not been playing. So, and then after the CPU bids will be the players to player, bit of dealing, wheeling and dealing. And then after that, right, that is officially the season end. I will then create a brand new save, right, incorporating all the new deals that have taken place. And we then start the auctions again for season 2. And we've got 10 auctions already lined up for season 2, which will be a bunch of players that have not been utilised in season 1. Your Roy Keane could be in it, Ryan Giggs could be in it, David Beckham could be in it. But in total, there's another 250 players, which is going to be fucking epic. And it will be the same procedure. But this is where people need to maybe claim some prize money here, there, and every fucking where. Let me remind you, everybody started with was it 50 million? It was 50 million, weren't it? or 25? I forget. I think it was 50. It was 50, yeah. But you're not going to have that sort of money to work with unless you have had some sort of fucking amazing season. But who knows? Who knows? So that is where we're at then on the King of the Dugout, which continues to get the tongues wagging. You know, we've got a group chat on it now. We've got the group, of course, the amphitheatre group. I didn't want to be spamming that with constant King of the Dugout communication. So I made a chat on Facebook of 16 of us, the 14 managers, myself and Mark Whitaker. And it's all good banter. I am going to take a rest off this, both myself and Mark, with Christmas and shit. So there's no rush for you guys to get your teams in. I think the next deadline, what is it, the 18th today? The next deadline is Saturday or Sunday. I'm going to run that month. I'll do an update, and that'll be the end, probably till New Year, in all honesty. Probably till the New Year. Because this is really good fun, and you can see what's coming up. Let's have a look at the February games. Big game straight away. Sharpshooters against Dutch Warriors. What a game. Soylent Green. So, I mean, this opening weekend, it's massive. It's absolutely massive. Sam's bastard. Sam, you've got so much work to do. I'd love to see you survive, but I'm not going to lie. There's a part of me that would like to see you get relegated, because I'd like to see Division 2 next season. Because if that was to happen, we would have Division 2, Division 1 and the Premier League all active next season. So these are all our fixtures for next season. Not next season, sorry, next month. 23rd is a big month, isn't it? So looks like we've got a couple of games in hand over here. So Wednesday the 27th will be the end. So let's have a quick gander now at each team's top boy. Tomasi over at Soylent Green, 794. Run Mansion, Michael Moles. Degeneration, Boxich. I think we knew it was going to be Boxich. Dark Destroyers, Kesman. Didn't realise it was Kesman. I know me and Matt spoke about his team, but Kesman, yeah, well done. Dunthorpe, Benito Carboni. That's a surprise. Benito Carboni. He's having a good season. He's picked up a lot. I think he got him on a free transfer or something like peanuts. And, you know, if he gets an offer for Carboni, right, from CPU at the end of the season, it could get a good offer. You know, so the effective thing about having a new save is that next season, Carboni will not have aged. He will be 30 years of age again, and he'll reset to how he is at the start of an ODB game. Sorry, this is back to Dutch Warriors. It is Wilfred Boomer. I think we knew he could be, and look at that, 10 assists, 8 in the league. So Wilfred Boomer, what a player he is. Over to Glasgow United, Yardell. 738 is not the greatest as your highest average rating, it's fair to say. North London is red. Filippo Inzaghi. Pageant Rangers, Leonardo. Okay, over to Pathetico Madrid, Pinheiro. I mean, if an offer was to come in for Pinheiro, it'd get a good offer. But as I said, me and Mark still need to go through that. I mean, we've got a little bit of time to work with, to be honest with you. Sam's Bastards, 2 players above the 7. Tim Howard has been your best player, and he was your backup goalie. Finidi, I think we read that he's going to be starting this next month, because Rusto's injured. Finidi, I do feel for Sam, I really do. Sharpshooters, Zidane, I think we knew it was going to be Zidane, didn't we? Soylent Green we've looked at, of course. Sunday Strikers is Veron. And finally, Trump Towers, Ronaldo 9. Look at that, he looks good, doesn't he? He looks fucking good. Okay, so that is it, guys. That is our King of the Dugout. Let me know your views. Until next time from me, take it easy.